Flashing noises echoed in the dungeon as the main character, a goblin hunter, thought to himself, "Today too, I will make my way through this dungeon. Small fries only, keeping risk within the bare minimum. As long as I can afford a little bit of luxury, that's fine by me." That was what he had thought initially. In the royal capital, we see a group of adventurers sitting and drinking. "Making you pay for these drinks again? Don't worry about it. It's just the usual cheap stuff. Thanks for the great treatment." As someone invaded their drinking session, saying, "Excuse me, you are in the way," there stood none other than the heroine of our story, a sassy girl. "Could you not block the public road? These guys got pretty mad at her." "What did you say, you idiot?" Acting all high and mighty. "If we are in the way, then you have to just walk around us," she mockingly replied. "Why should I of all people have to go out of my way to take a detour? These guys lost their cool. You little brat, letting you run your mouth." But our main character was the only one who noticed the emblem on her shoulder. This was none other than a student from St. Lygastar. Hearing this, she said, "It seems there's at least someone here with a little bit of common sense. If you understand, then hurry up and clear the way." While the other people were still quite mad, the main character stopped them and let her go through. All of them looked toward her with agony in their eyes, while she just glanced at them pitifully. We get to know that St. Lygastar is a so-called elite training institution. They are a troublesome bunch to make an enemy of. While his comrade said, acting all high and mighty, her panties were in full view though. Her face was decent enough. "All right, let's get back to drinking," he thinks. But what business does an elite have in a rural town like this? A man from behind told him, "Come to think of it, didn't you say you were called to the guild today?" He had totally forgotten. Back at the Adventurers Guild office. "This room is right this way. Thanks." It seems he had somehow been selected as a member of a certain party. "I wonder how many years it has been since I was last in a party." As someone screamed from inside, "Just how long do you plan on keeping me waiting?" He opened the door, scared. As he recalls, this is none other than the same girl. The guild master says, "It seems he has the right one. Welcome, Kent O'Brien." That girl recognized him, and the main character guessed it right. She says, "Wait a minute, staff. This is some kind of a joke, right? A wimpy blockhead like him? Don't tell me he is my matching partner." She pointed toward him. Matching? What is she talking about? He couldn't understand. We get to know that Kent and Cordelia are the two in question. That's right. I am Cordelia herself. Yeah, I'm definitely Kent. But what happens now? We see the woman getting out a massive report. "Please look at this." As she opened it up, they couldn't understand what the paper meant, but she explained, "This is the result of the matching this time." They were shocked looking at it. It was almost perfect, 99.9% matching. Almost everything was over 90%. This game, seriously. Someone like me who's practically a solo specialist at hunting small fries just to earn daily wages is matching with a Lygastar woman? The woman herself seemed more worried. The guild master said, "Well, isn't it destiny? And it seems you two are already acquainted with each other." "I wouldn't know though." She says, "No way. We are not acquainted at all." He also said, "It's weird to begin with, right?" She says, "I am Cordelia. There is no way that the top student of the 8th class of St. Lygastar Training Institution would party up with someone like him." The master says, even while shaking her boobs, "A comedy crime." Well, a few more looking strong men came from behind. "By the way, in the event that you cannot follow the skills policy, you will have to bear the appropriate penalties, such as the revocation of your guild license." This was too scary. Both of them looked scared as hell. Kent thought to himself, license revocation is bad. I barely am scraping by as an adventurer because I have a license. But without it, society would treat me almost exactly the same as bandits and thieves. Cordelia thought to herself, this is bad. Even though I became an adventurer after boasting so much to my family, if they found out I got fired on the first day, I will be the laughing stock of the entire family. The guild master says, well then, since there seem to be no objections, I will once again issue notification. As of today, Kent O'Brien and Cordelia Salisbury, the two of you are officially certified as matching partners by the guild. As the world might suffice, Cordelia says, no way. I absolutely refuse. The data, isn't it bugged? The ability of that matching when it chooses a guy like him. The guild master says to her, shut it up, while holding her mouth. I wouldn't appreciate it if you didn't understand. The guild, analyzing the data of thousands, tens of thousands of adventurers from the past, calculating advanced combinations by an elite team of thousands of people, a supreme service that narrows down stronger, more refined combinations to produce the best match. That is the matching app. She says, yeah, I get it. She looked toward Kent, saying, so what is your actual track record? Kent looked toward her and said, I am just a stray adventurer. She says, stray, see? Look at this. What do you mean refined combination? This is just completely irresponsible. Putting someone like me and this guy with such a huge gap having a matching rate of over 90%. The guildmaster says, for your information, the value for a general party is at most 50. They were shocked by this. Furthermore, the party of the legendary Holy Swordsman was at roughly 75. Hearing this, they were shocked. She dropped down to her knees thinking, wait, the Holy Swordsman is literally a legendary hero whose name is written in history textbooks. Throughout his career, his value was really that high. The main character couldn't understand. Kent then says, hey Cordelia, why are you calling me by my first name without honorifics? She says, just come here and look at this. Geez, what is it now? Here they saw below, achievement compatibility, 215%. Looking toward it, she was shocked and stunned. She said, achievement compatibility 215%? Is something wrong? That's completely messed up. What the heck is achievement compatibility? And it even exceeds 100%. The guild master just fixed her glasses and then said, because adventurers die so easily, right? That is why this was created. No matter how heroic they are, dying without even leaving behind decent descendants is what adventurers do. The guild viewed this as a problem and decided to introduce the app. In other words, it is no exaggeration to say that this achievement compatibility is the true purpose of the app. Isn't that just a dating app? They all screamed as they imagined having intercourse with each other. Okay, the master says. Well then, you two have a good adventurous life. She slammed the door and went off. Both of them couldn't understand what to do as they were stunned. As they looked toward each other, they blushed thinking about the same thing. Achievement compatibility 215%. They couldn't meet each other's eyes. She says, hey blockhead, just keep me company for a bit after this, okay? When we see them, they directly headed to the beginner dungeon. She says, if the guild's judgment is actually right, then a dungeon like this should be a total breeze, right? But if you think this is your first real fight, he asked. Then she cleaned out her sword, saying, that's exactly why it's fine. As she went off attacking, the main character tried to stop her, saying, you idiot, don't just charge in by yourself. But with so many goblins in front of her, her attacks came incoming. We see her slashing through them in one fell swoop. Every one of them was slashed to the core. Then she stopped, waited, and used magic. While Kent was worried about the number of goblins, seeing the magic that she did, a large amount of fire arose, and every one of those goblins were cooked to pieces. Then she stood on a mountain of them. Well, I guess this is good enough for a start, he thinks. Amazing. So this is the true power of her. He said to her, but isn't going that overboard on your first real fight a bit worrying? She says, it's fine. That was the whole point anyway. The guild absolutely refuses to back down on the matching result. Then I will just have to prove them wrong myself. If our compatibility really is higher than the Holy Swordsman, then even the boss of this dungeon shouldn't be much of a fight. A total breeze, right? You see, she was showing off something while more importantly, a goblin was going to attack her from above. As the goblin was going to attack toward her, she couldn't understand what he was trying to say, but then he pushed her off and kicked the goblin right in the stomach, saying, eat this. As she went blind, the goblin slammed toward a rock as well. She was scared shirtless over all of this. He said, not bad. Taking her name as you completely saw through the goblin's setup and ambushed her. As expected of you. I yelled at you to jump and dodge, but I didn't think you would actually dodge it so perfectly. She says, not really. It was just pure confidence. I just reacted to your voice. As she got up, we see both of them look like they were really a couple. There needs to be a saucy manga of this. Well, as they both looked up, more of those evil-headed zombies came. She says, just because you are a little big, don't you dare look down on me like you own this place. While Kent was scared, she says, We are taking them all out at once. He said, yes, ma'am. And both of them went to fight. At the guild's branch office, we see some people saying, I see. So these two already headed straight to a dungeon. If I recall correctly, the boss of the dungeon is a violet dragon, isn't it? 10 parties, each consisting of less ranked adventurers, have perished. That is the considering bare minimum line to subjugate the superclass monster. A rookie, even if he is from that prestigious Ligastar, and a stray man who's practically at rock bottom. If these two really manage to take down the violet dragon, that is going to be very entertaining in more than one way. As she was saying that, the main character and his partner were defeating enemies one after another. And at the end, they really reached the dragon's lair. We finally made it here, he says. Right in the deepest part of the dungeon, the boss room. Both of them faced against it. An exit roared toward them. What a massive roar which pushed back both of them. It is really insane. But even in this kind of life or death situation, the fact that I don't feel any fear at all, is it really because I am here with her? As she says, let's go, Kent. Are you ready? Yeah, let's put it to the test. Our 215% matching compatibility's true capabilities. As both of them dash toward him and raise their swords, slashing him all at once. We see it wobbling a little bit. Then it tried to run and attack with its tail, but the main character saved Cordelia, who was now on the bottom, and he stood on top protecting her like a damn hero. As he tried to attack, the dragon spread magic breath out of its mouth. Fire that caught onto the main character was way too hot. Someone says, touch it. It was none other than Cordelia, who was now raging with some kind of massive attack in her hand called the Furan Fire. She holds that ball toward the dragon with full intensity. The main character thought, did we get it? The dragon was totally toasted. It was defeated by just a rookie and a stray man. An abomination. Looking at it, the main character says, seriously? They actually managed to take it down. Is it real? Right, this is the real deal. The punchline isn't that it's actually a different species, right? She says, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. Stereo trying to be as noble as she can. But then she fell down all at once. The main character says, yo, what happened to you? Hang in there. Hey, you gotta be kidding me. Open your eyes. Giving us quite worrying for her. As she opened her eyes a little bit of time later, she found herself being carried by the main character. He says, you are awake, Cordelia. No way. Wait, what are you doing? She was totally stunned. But he says, idiot. You just fainted, so stay still. She pouted a little bit, but decided, yes, man. But that was seriously crazy. The stuff about 215% compatibility, what was it? Insane, right? From unknown monsters to overboss fragile. To think we actually looked down on it. But honestly, the guild was spot on. Even though we were originally going to prove the guild wrong today, but on the flip side, as he was saying that, he noticed that she was sleeping right, cuddling him in his arms. But we thought of something. If the guild was actually right about the dating app data, and it was completely accurate all along, that means the over 200% achievement compatibility is also totally legit.